Here's the deal. When this country was formed, one of the first things that happened was that the states passed laws governing corporations, because the colonists were just as afraid of corporations as they were of big government. I never knew this. It came as a shock to me. I thought free enterprise was defined all the way down the line as roll over anybody you want to, and, you know, and if there's a problem, too bad. You know, that was kind of the definition of capitalism. Capitalism makes money, we destroy whatever we feel like, and if you don't like it, too bad. That's kind of, you know, what I always thought unfettered capitalism was. But the colonists didn't think so, because they knew about the East India Trading Company, which was a British corporation that was very destructive in many respects. Hudson's Bay Trading Company, the, what do they call it, the Royal Africa Trading Company that was responsible for bringing slaves over to the New World. They knew about a lot of this stuff. They didn't like these corporations. In fact, several of the colonies were chartered as crown corporations, if you remember that phrase from school. And I believe Virginia was one of those. The Crown Colony of Virginia. And you say, yeah, whatever that means. Well, it means it's a corporation. And what's the purpose of the corporation? Is to drain all of the natural resources out of Virginia and get it back to England and get people to work for, you know, as little money as possible over in Virginia. That's called colonialism. So these colonists said, hey, we got to watch out for these corporations. So when the states were formed after the Revolution, they passed these laws saying, no corporation will exist in our state except by charter of the state legislature. And if the corporation does anything to seriously harm the public good, state legislature can yank their charter and kick them out of the state right away. That's what the colonists thought about corporations. Heavy hand. Okay? Now, this did in fact happen. There were sugar trusts, if you remember this, and whiskey trusts, and match trusts that were kicked out of states in the United States because they went beyond their state charter. They started to become monopolies. And Standard Oil of New York got kicked out of New York near the end of the 19th century because they were some real nasty people. And then they went down in New Jersey and they said, can we buy our way in here, please? We need a home. And New Jersey said, oh, no problem. This is Standard Oil of New Jersey that collaborated with the Nazis during the Second World War. So, that was the way the deal was supposed to work, because the colonists were pretty hip people. They saw power as power. They didn't care if it was corporate power or government power or, you know, whatever. They wanted to limit it because they knew that these power elites were always looking to form monopolies of one kind or another. And the power elites don't care whether it's government monopoly or corporate monopoly or educational monopoly or info monopoly or any kind of, you know. If it's monopoly, they like it. Smells good. You cooking up some Monopoly today? I think I'll have, give me, you know, a short stack of Monopoly. And one for my friend here, too, because we're monopolists. Or, as these corporate elite will say, never saw a monopoly I didn't like. So, what happened to all of this fear and loathing on the part of the early colonists for corporate power? Well, it got corrupted by court cases, by corrupt judges, by all sorts of legislative over-cover, until we had one key case that everybody should memorize. 1886, Southern Pacific Railroad versus Santa Clara County, a dispute that went all the way to the Supreme Court. Santa Clara County and Southern Pacific Railroad, 1886. And the decision was that the Southern Pacific Railroad was not only exempt from damages, but that the Southern Pacific Railroad wasn't really just a corporation. It was a person. It was a person. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen many corporations walking around recently in one suit with two eyes and one nose. Haven't seen many of those lately. But that was the definition that was handed down, and it made a big difference, as I think you could probably understand, because the 14th Amendment talks about due process of law for each person. Now the corporation could say, wait a minute, fellas, we have our day in court. You can't just kick us out of New York. You have to give us our day in court. And by the way, we have 1,700 lawyers here. We have 500 PR people over here, and we have these newspapers we own over here, and these radio stations, and these reporters we bought off over here, and we have all kinds of things that once we have a court case, we can stall, we can do this, we can do that, we can outlast our opponents, we can do all kinds of things. And that's what they got in 1886. So the state legislature couldn't just get together and say, well, let's vote these guys right out of here. Okay, you're out. No, couldn't do that anymore. But that's what the colonists wanted, see? In other words, the first time that DuPont decided, let's see, I think we can put, we got 10 million gallons of this weird green stuff, and we don't know exactly what it is. We're sure it kills anything that comes into contact with it. Is anybody looking out there on the Chesapeake Bay down in Delaware? No, I think we're okay. I want you to drill a hole over here, another one over there, and just pump this stuff out, all right? Because we don't know what to do with it. See, and every year DuPont drills down 10,000 feet, if they haven't already got it all set up. They have these well casings that go down forever, and they pour this stuff down there into the earth. They say, well, there's so many strata of rocks between us and where this is that it'll never hurt anybody. And then it drifts around, and the well casings corrode because this stuff, you go, psst. And then it comes back up again, and somebody goes, here's to you, mate. Next day he's in the hospital, and doctors are saying, well, we think it's thrombocytopenosis vitosis migravia portenda, and we're going to have to give this guy everything we've got in the closet. Like, take all these pills, because, maybe this is a new disease. Maybe we could get $1 billion from the federal government to research this thing. I think we've got a new disease, and I think Nobel Prizes are just waiting in the wings, right? This is what happens. And in 1989, DuPont put 259 million pounds of this stuff down these well casings. See what I'm talking about now? I'm not talking about whether you believe in environmentalism or not. Believe me, this has nothing to do with environmentalism. Well, I think these environmentalists are, I don't know. We're talking about 259 million pounds of into the ground every year from one corporation. And we don't know where it goes. So if DuPont had tried this back in, let's say, 1870, first time they decided to dump this stuff in Chesapeake Bay down in Delaware, they would have been called up before the state legislature, who would have said, what are you guys doing? And they would have said, well, no. What are you guys doing? Well, we dumped a little stuff in the bay. Little stuff? We've got some people that are buried down in the bottom of the bay. We've got piles of fish that go up to, well, it was more than a little bit. Okay, we're going to take a vote. All those in favor of DuPont leaving the state of Delaware, raise their hands. Raise your hand. Blah, blah, you're out of here 24 hours. Sell the buildings. Get out. We'll take over the property. See you later. That's what the colonists actually had in mind. Now, that may startle some patriot types here. Wait a minute. Well, You can disagree if you want to, but I'm telling you that the very colonists whom you revere, including the founding fathers, had it figured out the way I just described it. That's what they wanted. That was their idea of limiting corporate power.